The song we just heard, obviously a very personal number for you. Tell me about the song that we just heard, Marcus. What's the idea behind? You know, I hear the lyrics. I'm acting like an only child. My son's an only child. So there were times where, you know, he'd act up in certain ways, but so that struck me obviously as well as the rest of the lyrics and the music. But
yeah, I was just trying to offend as many only children as I could in one fell swoop. Felt like I succeeded on that. It was a song that Blake Mills and I wrote a while back, and it was sort of the gateway drug to the rest of the record in some ways, because he and I had worked on that together. And I loved working with him so much. We'd always said we'd do something else. Nice. And then I started writing some more songs in January last year, and took them to Blake.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's how we started.
That's how it started. Yeah. The album, of course, we're talking about, Selftitled from you, just came out recently, and thank you very much for putting that album out. Great sounding release. And of course, we can see you tonight at the Keller Auditorium here in Portland as well. Obviously, one of the big sort of obvious questions, having been in Mumford and Sons, you know, it's been a few years since the last album with the band, and then you go ahead and do this solo album. What was the idea behind doing this album solo as opposed to with the rest of the band, if you will? It
was just the songs, really. I'm trying to just follow the creative wherever it leads, and the songs that I started writing just as a songwriter, not really thinking with my band hat on or with any other kind of hat on, led me down I mean, I played those songs to the band, and we talked about it, and we all agreed it felt like the beginning of something I should do on my own.
Wow, okay.
So to step back from that for one sort of album cycle, and then go out and tour it, and then, which is what I'm doing now,
sure,
and then get back to my day job. But it was really the songs that led me there. It felt like it was a very personal record, and I'd written 2 songs, Cannibal and Grace, the first 2 songs on the record, played them to the lads. We all decided it was probably a solo project, and then I just went away and started writing more and more and more. A lot of it in Los Angeles with Blake, and that's sort of how the record was born. In
moving to Los Angeles to do this album, it was just you. You didn't bring your family with you. They stayed back over in England, I presume.
Well, I was doing sort of 2 or 3 week long sessions and then going home. Yeah.
How was that? That must be kind of difficult to be away. I mean,
yeah, it was. I mean, in some way, I think change is really healthy for creativity. If I could say that word, creativity. I think getting out of your normal surroundings can inspire new ideas.
Sure.
Because it's like what John Lennon talked about when writing songs. He'd always talk about like trying to pick up a new instrument to write a new song with, because you can kind of get stuck in the same groove. I pick up a guitar, I always play a G chord, and it means that you end up starting to write everything in G. So I tuned my guitars into different tunings, and then got stuck in those tunings. So every song I wrote sounded like The Cave, and then so just trying to get out of those ruts. Or not really ruts, just grooves that
sure.
you naturally tend towards. And Blake was really helpful with that. And so changing location, I'd never made a record in America before. Mm-hmm. That really helped. We did it with a band like Babel. You know, the second band record, we moved to Nashville together for like 6 weeks. And,
right.
And wrote songs there. And that was very helpful. So I think change is a good thing.
You know, you speak about picking up an instrument and doing something different. I spoke with you some years ago when Wilder Mind had come out. And that was when I believe you recorded that or you worked on recording it in New York for a time.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Yeah, and you were using some of Matt Berninger's instruments, Matt from The National. And it was interesting because you sort of discovered different things with the instruments and also the studio setup that he had. Did anything like that happen?
It was Aaron Dessner, one of the 2 guitarists in the
National. Really? Okay,
his
yeah.
studio in Ditmas Park in Brooklyn, yeah.
But it was sort of a different, I mean, because that was the sort of, I remember you talking about that album and you said that's the album where we put the banjos away in the closet for a while.
We did?
Yeah,
and we spent a lot of time with certain guitars. I picked up a blonde Telecaster at Chicago Music Exchange, which was a guitar shop, and I wrote 2 of the songs on Wilder Mind in the guitar shop.
Wow.
Just that thing.
Standing right there.
Just picking up a new instrument, because I hadn't owned a Tele before.
Wow.
And I played it through a Blackface Champ, which is still my favorite amplifier.
Wow.
And just right there, no pedals or anything, just the guitar and the amp. I wrote 2 songs there.
And fast forwarding to the self-titled solo album from you, I understand that you also had some other musicians come by, some strong female vocals appear on this album as well.
Yeah, and despite the fact that it's sort of sold as a solo record, it's definitely the most collaborative thing I've ever done.
I was going to say,
and I wouldn't have been able to do it without a significant amount of support behind the scenes, but also musically. And the list of characters is long and.
In fact, there's some people that dropped by that didn't make it onto the album, I understand.
Yeah, there were, yeah.
Is it going to be like B-side releases down the line, or
there's a lot of songs floating around?
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it because I actually received 2 of the demos we did yesterday from the engineer Joseph Lord, who we work with, and they sound quite good.
Good.
Like there might be another record.
There you go. Yeah, it could be a strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So you're in Los Angeles. You're working on this. Obviously, you're spending a lot of time in the studio and working like that. But I mean, it's Los Angeles. It's Southern California. I mean, how would you get out and spend some of your free time when you're not working on music?
I'm a COVID surfer, so it was one of the things I picked up during COVID. Because it felt safer than lots of the other options. And so I did a lot of surfing. Where I live in the southwest of England, we're not that far from the surf breaks there. So
can you surf in the southwest of England?
You can, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you learn something
It's
every
very
day.
good.
Okay, that's cool.
And so I'd surf every morning before the studio, which is a pretty amazing thing.
Longboard, monofin, shortboard?
Yeah, I started on a longboard, and I'm getting shorter now.
Yeah. That's usually how it goes. Does anyone else surf? Anyone surfing? No?
You look like you surf.
I did. Well, so I'm from California, so
there
of
you
course, But when I started out, I was this friend of mine in high school said, "Here, you can borrow my dad's board." And it was this vintage 1965, like 9'9" mono. Oh yeah, it was amazing. Awesome. It weighed like 80 pounds with a fin, like
Yeah.
And I strapped that to the top of a Volkswagen Bug, and I went to Santa Cruz.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
Yeah, it makes for a great story, but it didn't last very long.
Santa Cruz quite sharky.
It can be. Yeah. It can be sharky. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not into the sharks.
Not into the sharks. All right. Yeah. Other than surfing, I know you're also a soccer fan.
I am a football fan, yes.
Yeah, football, soccer. Sorry.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's. I remember last time you were here, you held up the Timbers scarf when you played Moda Center, and everyone was kind of thrilled for that. Yeah. So yeah.
How are they doing? Are they all right?
They're doing all right. Yeah, they've got another game coming up this Sunday. Yeah. Does anyone go to the Timbers game? Timbers?
Oh,
Timbers?
there we go.
Timbers game?
No,
you
won't
be here. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm not going to be here.
All right. Well, once again, thank you so much for being here and playing in the PNC Live Lounge. Again, Marcus Mumford at the Keller Auditorium tonight, and the solo album, Selftitled, out right now. Marcus, thank you so much.
Thanks, Gustav. Thanks, man.